Hello, my name is Ikra, and in my channel, you are going to know the fundamentals of psychology. In this video, you are going to learn the basic definition and general phenomena of psychology. Let us start with the introduction. Introduction to psychology. Psychology is a scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Behavior and mental processes. Psychology tends to understand people, thoughts, emotions, perception, reasoning processes, memories, biological activities that mainly maintain the bodily functions. Psychologists try to describe, predict, explain human behavior and mental processes. Subfields of psychology. The basic subfields of psychology are behavior genetics, behavior neurosciences, clinical psychology, clinical neuropsychology, cognitive psychology, counseling psychology, cross-cultural psychology, developmental psychology, educational psychology, environmental psychology, evolutionary psychology, experimental psychology, forensic psychology, health psychology, industrial or organizational psychology, personality psychology, program evaluation, psychology of women, school psychology, social psychology, sports psychology, and many fields. Behavior genetics. Behavior genetics consists two types of studies: study of genetics, environmental influences on behavior. All behaviors are studied by psychologists are affected by our genetic makeup. Both gene and environment are important to understand if we hope to untangle the mysteries of virtually any behavior. It's a field of scientific research that uses genetic methods to investigate the nature and origin of individual differences in behavior. History of behavior genetics. Plato and Aristotle both speculate on the basis and mechanism of inheritance of behavior characteristics. Plato argued in The Republic that selective breeding among the necessary to encourage the development of some traits and discourage other, what today might be called eugenics. William Shakespeare also contributed in behavior genetics. William Shakespeare perhaps first used the term nature versus nurture in The Tempest, where he wrote his Act 4, Scene 1, The Caliban was a devil, a born devil, or which nature or nurture can never stick. Nature versus nurture. Nature. Our genetics determine our behavior, our personality traits and abilities are in our nature. Nurture. Our environment, upbringing, and life experiences determine our behavior. We are nurtured to behavior in certain ways. Sir Francis Galton. Francis Galton was the 19th century intellectual and cousin of Charles Darwin. He was a polymath who studied many subjects, including the heritability of human abilities and mental characteristics. 10 years after Darwin's Origin of Species, Galton published his result in Hereditary Genius. In his work, Galton found that the rate of eminence was highest among the close relatives of eminent individuals and decreases as the degree of relationship to eminent individuals decreased. While Galton could not rule out the role of environmental influences or eminence, a fact which he acknowledged, the study served to initiate an important debate about the relative role of genes and environment on behavior characteristics. Galton also introduced multivariate analysis and paved the way toward modernism. Bayesian statistics that are used throughout the sciences Launching what has been dubbed the statistical enlightenment, Galton's intellectual contributions moved toward the founding of eugenics movement in 20th century. Multivariate analysis. Multivariate analysis tried to find patterns and relationship among multiple dependent variables. Situations where multiple dependent variables are common, test validation and development of scales, multi-measure paradigms like psychological or physiological, complex social studies including surveys and archival results. Eugenics. Eugenics. Positive eugenics and negative eugenics. Positive eugenics. Only people with desirable traits should be allowed to reproduce. Good in birth. Positive eugenics mean adding to human gene pool so-called desirable characteristics. But the question in relation to the cause of racism and the effect theories of race had been would be to whom are these characteristics desirable. Negative eugenics. Discourage or prevent the less fit from reproducing. Compulsory sterilization laws. Marriage restriction. Less desirable races not allowed to marry more desirable races. Immigration restrictions and birth control. Psychogenetics into behavior genetics. Kevin S. Halls in 1951 wrote in his book on behavior genetics, in which he introduced the term psychogenetics. However, it eventually disappeared from the usage in favor of behavior genetics. In 1960s, John S. Fuller and William Roberts published the book on behavior genetics. Goals of behavior genetics. The primary goal of behavior genetics is to investigate the nature and origin of individual differences in behavior.